Last time we found out that Google confirms who you are to every website that uses Continue with Google, but we never answered the real question. How does Google actually know it's you in the first place? Think about it for a second. You type a password into a box, and somehow on the other side of the world, a server decides you're really you. But here's the strange part. Google can make that decision without ever actually knowing your password. That sounds impossible. So let's rewind to the moment you first created that password because that's where this whole story actually starts. When you signed up and typed your password for the first time, Google didn't just save it as is. Instead, it ran your password through something called a hash function. A hash function takes your password and scrambles it into a completely different string of letters and numbers. And here's the key part. That scrambling only works in one direction. You can turn a password into a scrambled hash easily. But you can't turn that scrambled hash back into the original password. Not even Google can do it. Google also mixes in a bit of random extra data before scrambling, so even two people with the exact same password end up with completely different results. So what Google actually stores in its database isn't your password at all. It's just that scrambled, unique, one-way result. Now let's fast forward to today when you go to log in again. You type your password, just like always. But Google doesn't dig up your old password to compare it. Instead, it runs your newly typed password through that exact same scrambling process again. Now, Google has two scrambled results, the one saved from before and the new one you just created. It simply checks if those two scrambled versions match. If they match, Google knows you typed the correct password without ever needing to know what that password actually is. That's the part that answers our original question. But knowing your password was correct only solves half the problem. Because if Google forgot who you were the second you clicked away, you'd have to type your password on every single page. So the moment your login succeeds, Google creates something new, a session. Think of it as a temporary proof that says, this person already proved who they are, don't ask again. That session gets a unique ID, just a random string of characters, unlike anyone else's. Think of it like getting your hand stamped at a venue so you can walk around and come back in without showing your ticket again. Google sends that session ID back to your browser, and this is where things get interesting because your browser needs somewhere to actually keep it. That's where a cookie comes in. Your browser stores that session ID inside a small piece of data called a cookie. Here's the part most people never notice. Every single time you visit Google again, your browser automatically attaches that cookie to the request without you doing anything at all. So Google looks at the session ID inside that cookie, checks it against the session it created earlier, and instantly knows it's you again. No password, no retyping anything. This is the actual reason you stay logged in for days, sometimes weeks. But just like before, this doesn't last forever. Sessions eventually expire too, quietly forcing you to log in again. So here's the full journey. Your password gets scrambled and compared, never stored directly. Google creates a session to remember you temporarily, and a cookie carries that session with you everywhere you go on the site. But this raises a new question. If that cookie is the only thing proving it's you, someone doesn't even need your password to get in, they just need that cookie. And what happens when someone actually gets their hands on it? That's exactly what we're breaking down next.